Everyone was searching for the children along the shoreline, but the retired gardener could read the ocean's language, the angle of the waves, the direction of the wind, the strength of the current. These told him a story he'd learned 30 years ago. As time ran out for two missing children, this quiet man was about to reveal very different skills. From which city in the world are you watching this story today? If stories like this move you, consider subscribing to Unseen Legends for more tales of quiet heroes walking among us. Saturday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Autumn silence reigned over Santa Monica Municipal Park. Robert Chen, 68 years old, was working in the park's main flower garden. He was collecting fallen leaves, preparing the flowers for winter. In his blue coveralls, thick gloves and old hat, he looked like an ordinary park worker. He had been working at this park for 8 years, and to most visitors he was an invisible figure. Nobody knew Robert's past. To them he was just the quiet Chinese gardener, patiently watering flowers, cleaning benches, ensuring children's safety in the playground. No one knew that between 1975 and 2003, he had been one of the US Navy's most experienced navigation officers. But this afternoon, a sound caught Robert's attention. "Help! My children are missing!" The scream cut through the park's silence. Robert looked up. At the park entrance, a woman about 35 years old was running in panic. Behind her, a man about 40 was trying to call someone on his phone. "Maria, Tommy," the woman was shouting. "Where are my children?" Robert dropped his hose and approached. For years, he'd had to solve park visitors' problems. Lost belongings, injured children, missing car keys. But this looked different. "Ma'am, how can I help you?" Robert said calmly. The woman turned, her eyes filled with tears. "My children, my twin children are missing. They're 7 years old. I think they went to the ocean." The man looked up from his phone. "I called 911. Coast Guard is on the way, but it'll take at least 45 minutes. Robert's experienced eyes immediately analyzed the environment. Wind was blowing from the west, moderate strength. The sea was somewhat choppy, but not dangerous. But for children, every minute was critical. "Where did you last see your children?" Robert asked. "On the beach, playing next to the main lifeguard station. They were there when I checked 10 minutes ago." Robert quickly calculated. Santa Monica Beach was a wide coastline, but currents and wind followed specific patterns. If the children had entered the water, did you see which direction they went? No, by the time I noticed, they were already gone. This was exactly when Robert's 28 years of naval experience kicked in. Reading currents, analyzing wind patterns, evaluating sea conditions, these were second nature to him. He pulled out his old navigation compass from his pocket. Tourists were surprised to see this. Why was a gardener carrying a compass? "Wind blowing from 240 degrees, approximately 15 knots, Robert murmured to himself. "Current flowing south, 2 miles per hour. The parents didn't understand what he was saying, but Robert's professional movement calmed them somewhat. "If you know which point they entered the water, I can calculate where they might be," Robert said. The father looked suspicious. "Who are you? Are you police?" "I'm a park gardener, but I know how to read sea conditions." The mother looked hopeful. "Can you really find my children?" Robert wanted to be honest. "If we move fast, yes, but we need to hurry." They ran toward the beach. As Robert ran, he observed the environment, the direction of waves, coastline, wind effect. All these factors told him the children's probable location. When they reached the beach, a crowd had formed. Other visitors had also started searching for the children. Lifeguards had already entered the water, but they were searching in the wrong direction. "They're searching on the north side," Robert said, "but the current flows south. The children aren't there." The head lifeguard, a big man, approached. "Who are you, old man?" "This is a professional search and rescue operation. You're searching for the children in the wrong place," Robert said calmly. "We're trained. You're just a park worker." Robert hesitated. It was time to reveal the identity he'd hidden for years. "I was a navigation officer in the US Navy for 28 years. I directed thousands of search and rescue operations in the Pacific Ocean." The head lifeguard was surprised. "Are you serious?" "Very serious. And in these current conditions, the children should be on the south side, approximately 300 yards offshore." Robert looked at the markers on the beach, checked the wind direction, analyzed wave patterns. Navigation calculations automatically formed in his mind. Santa Monica current flows southeast at this hour. Wind is pushing the children further offshore. If they've been in the water for 10 minutes, they should be about 200 yards south of the pier right now. The head lifeguard was uncertain. Should he trust this old man's calculations? "But standard protocol will cause the children's death," Robert said sternly. "I can give you exact coordinates." He pulled out an old paper from his pocket and began making rapid calculations. Latitude, longitude, current speed, wind factor. He'd been making these calculations for 30 years. 33.9941 north, 118.4950 west, plus or minus 50 yards. The head lifeguard looked at his GPS. "That's very specific. Because Because it's mathematics. The sea is predictable. People are predictable. The children are there. The mother looked pleadingly. Please, save my children. The head lifeguard made his decision. Okay, we'll try your coordinates. But if you're wrong, I'm not wrong. 2 jet skis headed toward the coordinates Robert had given. Robert stayed on the beach, but his eyes were on the sea, checking his calculations. If the children can swim and didn't panic, they should be at those coordinates, he told the parents. How do you know? The father asked. Because I was a navigation officer on the USS Enterprise. Persian Gulf War, Somalia coast, North Atlantic. I did the job of finding people lost at sea for 28 years. Then why are you gardening? Robert smiled. Because the war ended. But my knowledge of the sea didn't. 15 minutes later, a voice came over the radio. We found the children. Exactly at the given coordinates. Both are safe. The crowd on the beach erupted in joyful screams. The parents began crying. The head lifeguard looked at Robert in amazement. How did you know so precisely? Sea mathematics, current, wind, time. When you combine these, you can calculate where people will be. When the children were brought to shore, they were tired but healthy. The parents hugged Robert. You saved lives, the mother said. I just did mathematics, Robert said humbly. But the head lifeguard was curious. Were you really in the Navy? USS Enterprise, USS Missouri, USS Carl Vinson, 28 years at sea. Why would someone with that much experience become a park worker? Robert looked at the flowers. Because after war I wanted to create life. Growing flowers, providing safe playgrounds for children, offering peaceful places to people. But your abilities are still here, when needed, like today. The following week, when Robert returned to Santa Monica Park, everything was different. Newspapers had written the story. Park gardener saves missing children using naval knowledge. The park director approached. Robert, your background is incredible. Why did you never mention it? The past should stay in the past, sir. I'm still the same Robert, but your navigation expertise. The Coast Guard wants to work with you, Robert thought. Maybe the next chapter of his retirement could be teaching, transferring maritime knowledge to young rescue workers, sharing experience. I could consider part-time consulting, but I don't want to return to full-time fieldwork. Young lifeguard Marcus asked, Mr. Robert, did you really save lives at sea? Different time, Marcus, different world. But the principles are the same. Observe carefully, trust your instincts, protect innocent people. Would you teach me? Robert considered. Maybe the next chapter of retirement could be teaching, transferring skills to young people, sharing experience. Sure, Marcus. First lesson, always trust nature. Second lesson, mathematics is more important than life. The Coast Guard's offer remained in Robert's mind. Maybe he could do part-time consulting. He didn't want his skills to rust, but he didn't want to return to full-time operations either. He needed time to find the perfect solution. But for now, Robert Chen was content. His 8-year quiet life had been exposed, but he had found a new identity, retired sailor who saves lives between watering flowers, the most unusual employee at Santa Monica Park. The man who saves children while watering flowers. And the truth was, Robert loved both. Sometimes the most extraordinary people hide in the most ordinary places. Men like Robert water flowers in parks, but their eyes still scan the environment for dangers. Their skills don't rust, their training doesn't sleep. The next time you see someone who appears to be an ordinary worker, remember, they might be protecting you in ways you never imagined. Have you ever met someone who appeared ordinary but had an extraordinary background? Tell us in the comments. And if you want to hear more stories about quiet heroes like Robert Chen, subscribe to Unseen Legends, because sometimes the best protection is found waiting behind a gardener in a park. This story is a work of fiction created to honor the spirit of service. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is purely coincidental.